The Mormon Kevin Spacey is just so fun. He's so fun. He can't take any accountability for what he's done. And he hasn't figured out that he's like in a cult as well. But this topic of child human trafficking, the Mormons, yes, they made a special law over here in California for y'all to human traffic some kids and women and have an OG fest. I mean, did you like ignore, all that history there, Timmy? It's another tiny Tim. So Tim says he was defamed and excommunicated by the LDS Church. I mean, I would almost think you would praise that. It would be like, I'm saved from stupidity. I got out. Okay, but no. He's going to go into this thing. Tim Ballard, the founder and former CEO of Operation Underground Railroad, said he has been defamed, excommunicated as part of a conspiracy involving members of the Church of Jesus Christ, a Latter-day Saint. Just cross that out, put Scientology, cross it out, put Baptist, cross it out, put whatever, okay? And the more it's like the atheist, where they were throwing us out of rooms because they were calling us liars and they weren't all rapists. I don't know, but okay. So he made the statement in a video, posted to Instagram late Wednesday. I love talking about him over there because YouTube got me down in the dumps over here on purpose. But you could say the B word. Hey guys, you get paid for saying the B word, but my language and my existence on life goes against these Christian cultists. Okay, so what is Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints as a runoff of Christianity of some dude having a dream of taking advantage of some women? Okay, so Tim Ballard wants to be that. Okay, so the video shows Ballard at a desk with soft piano music playing in the background. Oh, baby. You gotta up Kevin Spacey here. Wait, he's got Sinatra going on over there, okay? I have to get in on this, you guys. We've been out of music for a while. I'm gonna win them over. Okay, so the video shows Ballard at a desk with soft piano music. Ding, ding, ding. Okay, he's gonna get the mood for you to feel sympathy. He has to put music to the background. He begins the video by announcing that he and his wife, Catherine, who literally needs to walk out on this, but anyways, are not getting a divorce. Ballard then proceeds to hold up a piece of paper announcing that Tim and Catherine versus Deep Church. Okay. We will be going to every outlet, every podcast around the world. Oh, you pissed off a narcissist? You pissed off a narcissist. Like you destroyed his hero moment. Deep state, deep church. You get it? Children are literally being beaten and bloodied by ISIS and traffickers because of the lies. Oh, that wouldn't be up in the Mormon church either, where, most of them still haven't come out because your church keeps silencing everybody. Yeah. Ballard refers to his excommunication as a false excommunication in which he did not receive due process. He also said the church put out statements condemning him in September 23 so that he would not become the next U.S. Senator representing Utah. Well, that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing. The church statement in question stated, Ballard cited the betrayal of a member of the quorum of the 12 apostles. They're all dudes, right? Is also referred to Ballard's behavior as morally unacceptable. I find the hypocrisy, though, in this hilarious. It's like two bad people at each other, right? Yeah. Ballard is asking for a retraction. He has to beg. Beg, honey, beg, get on your knees. Start kissing the feet of the man. Okay. Authorities inside the church have refused to retract the obvious defamation, which is now being used by groups like ISIS. Who the hell's talking about ISIS right now? Okay, and traffickers and pedophiles in general to obstruct Ballard's work. Come on, Kevin. You two should go in a battle about who's the bigger narcissist, but this is hilarious. Okay, so by the time the church statement was released, Ballard had already permanently separated from Operation Underground Railroad amidst sexual misconduct complaints from co-workers. Ballard was later named as a defendant by 6 women in a series of sexual misconduct lawsuits. 5 of the 6 women still have active lawsuits. The 6th was dismissed but is being appealed. Plaintiff said Ballard would sometimes use President Russell Ballard's name to justify sexual conduct, so long as it is used as part of an undercover technique to save God's children. He sounds like our government, though. We're doing this cover because we're looking for human trafficking, aka we want to peep in on naked women and get into their private lives and do things against our will. But yes, our government operates in the same way, the same manipulation tactics, and we're going to go hang out at strip clubs and pretend like we're doing our job. Okay, so that's that one. Court filings showed 37 pages of messages sent between Ballard and a woman. The messages are sometimes explicit. Sometimes they philosophize about non-traditional views and criticisms of the LDS Church. Well, they were some of the OG human traffickers. I would think if you were on a mission, like those missionary Mormon dudes that were like half naked in a calendar. I was totally for that. Okay, so you probably should leave your church. Good thing. Documents show Ballard was also under criminal investigation for fraud. At least a portion of that investigation has concluded without the filing of criminal charges. Doesn't mean he's innocent. Tim is fully convinced that he's supposed to be the Mormon Messiah and lead people back to the church. These men. This is called narcissism, ladies. Just to let you know, if you run across this and you hear some weird crap like this, it's like, wow. Oh, we have a grandiose narcissist in the room. He wants to be a Jesus. He wants to be a Jesus like the Mormon church started. What's his name? Joseph Smith? Yeah. Okay, so he wants to be just like him and the Keith Ranieris and all these other Jews that claim that they are a Messiah, a prophet, and all these things. They actually have a mental health issue. And we're not making jokes of this. It's a serious thing. For some reason, we just look it over and go, ha, 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 I don't know. But it's actually very serious and it's harmful to them. And he needs to go to a therapist because they're the only ones that can treat that. But there's no cure for it, by the way. But they could treat that so he stops acting out like this. The documents also outline how prosecutors believe Ballard's communicated with the psychic to speak to the prophet nephew. Oh, yeah, we got into the nephew thing before. that Lori Vallow thing. People had to explain it to me because there were some additions in their stuff that I never heard of, and it was made up by those people. Yeah, I was like, nephew. Because he had this dream. I guess the thing was about he claims he had this vision. He like woke up one night and these two, beings came about, and I wasn't one of them named Nephi or something. Yeah, to get intel. Well, whatever. It's all just a man making up shit, or he had a delusional mental health issue. And that's serious. So we should not be running with this shit show, government. That's not a religion. That is actually narcissism playing out. When you understand that, you will not fall for this stuff, and it's actually very serious. But it's actually something that comes out of the grandiose narcissist. And they have some additions in that. So, hello? But the general society knows nothing about mental health issues, mostly not back then. And they looked at it and said, oh, we believe the guy. And the guy's like totally hallucinating or, he's just on his ego trip manipulating. One or both those things in combination. But that's how that actually comes out. And that was so interesting when I was going back into the history. I was like, how did this happen? Because this is something that comes out of a narcissist. So we know factually this comes out of a narcissist. The whole, I'm a messiah, I'm a prophet, I'm a this, I'm a cult leader, I'm a religion, blah, blah. It actually does. And that's how come those things got created, because it came from somebody with that mental health issue. But women run with it and they can't see past it, but they would if they understood that. And they wouldn't fall for all this garbage anymore. I mean, they still can manipulate you. But this right here, no. Mormon Messiah. I got a hero, and I gotta be a hero, and I need some awards, and it's about me. Yeah, so he's doing this, and that's a Kevin as well. They have the same actual mental health issue, which is really interesting. Kevin, I don't know if he wants to be a Messiah. In his mind, I think he thinks he's like the greatest serious actor of all time. He has to think about himself, but yeah, then we get these cult leader dudes. Okay, so Ballard said the conspiracy serves to prevent people from watching his latest film. He urged people to call sin marked so that the film could be seen in theaters. Yeah, he don't even care. He's like, these women are just liars, honey. They're trying to ruin my whole crusade of being famous and getting love and feed my narcissism. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Okay, so at one point during the video, Ballard stated he would be issuing subpoenas to expose people who are part of the conspiracy. There's always a conspiracy with narcissists, right? But they're the funny thing, you guys, when they do this, they're actually the ones doing conspiracies on their victims. Like they're starting conspiracies on their victims and doing horrible things and trying to dox us and making plots to go target us into silence. And so what they do is, this is like a form of the flip the script portion where it's like, oh, I actually do it, but I'm going to make it seem like they were doing it. And we've seen it in a couple of other cases too. They've done it, you know, when they're flinging back stuff. But yeah, I mean, included in my stuff, they tried to flip things around. Like I'm a creep. I'm a weirdo. Oh, you know, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, wow. Could you bully me anymore? I was a kid. I couldn't know what the hell's going on here. Yeah, so they tried to do that. It was not a good feeling, but they knew, I think because the narcissist knows that I'm a special individual that a lot of people misunderstand and try to use his own low self-esteem to try to destroy me. But it didn't work. Like, yes, it's upsetting when someone talks like that about you, but that's okay, because in the end, we win, right? Fox 13 News asks if it means he plans to file a lawsuit against the Church of Jesus. Oh, go for it. I don't like either people here, so I was like, just go at it, both of them. Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is being a hypocrite. I mean, just off the bat, like they promoted Tim Ballard. The whole thing is revolved around a Tim Ballard. I mean, the Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints was created basically by another Tim Ballard. And then they're just a bunch of hypocrites because it's like they promote this stuff. They teach that women need to submit to men. And the women in the story, when they're talking, because I think there are other Mormon women. So the women are doing what they're indoctrinated to do, is to respect the male authority. And then now we have some ex-Mormons here, or Mormons in the comments, right? So you could look at that. I mean, you could tell me your opinion on that, but it's the same. It's relatively the same as Christians, where the women are indoctrinated and they just automatically listen to the guy and they're supposed to respect like what he says and they go along with it. And the men get their narcissist feed from it. That's why it was set that way to begin with, by the way. So I was like, when you start understanding, you have to first understand the mental health issue first. And then when you go back into your doctrine that they wrote, you could actually see like where it's playing out. Like the illness is playing out, and then they present themselves as like, you know, some savior or something. And there's always a luro thing to it where, you know, they teach love and whatever, but there's actually no love in that. There actually isn't. So when you know what love is, when you know what love, I was trying to think of a song, I can't think about it right now. Anyway, when you know what love is, you know that none of what is laid out in front of you is that. It's just feelings in writings. Like it's just writings and it's conjuring up that feeling of it. But the actual teachings, when you separate your emotions from that thing, actually has nothing about love in it. It's about control, dominating, grooming, targeting groups of people, forcing rules, very rigid rules on people. And then what comes out of things like that, out of homes like that? A lot of mental health issues from kids, really bad dynamics. And Tim Ballard's parents were probably, I don't know who his parents are. I haven't looked in his background, but maybe they were, maybe he had the over cuddling mother and then like an over domineering father. I'm not sure, but he literally just disregards any horrible thing that he does. And it always comes around to, you'll see you watch what they do. So like on this one, and Kevin Spacey does it too. Like they run over all the victims and every terrible thing they ever did. Then they try to justify it and then they want to reframe it. It's really interesting. So they want to reframe it back to their abuse, like how they told us, like, oh, we need to, trying to think of a thing. Oh, okay. So like the religion is child grooming and stuff. And they're just like, oh, it's for God. It's just like a different shelving in it. So he's like trying to reshelf it back to, I'm not a rapist. I just gently touch people. And it's like, no matter how you put it, that's sexual assault. But in his mind, he's trying to minimize it to, it's not a big deal, even though he knows he did those things. But he does this thing. It's just watch the movement of it. He just runs over all the victims. He doesn't care. But he did seem to show a sense of care to the one victim initially. But his level of empathy there is very low. Like he was trying to be like, he felt enough to say, whoa, dude, I'm sorry that I did that. I totally am. Like, actually respect you. What he was almost had this thing about it up until he got in trouble. And then he turned around and then ran him over like forward and backwards. It is the craziest thing. But he showed something. I don't know if I'm assuming he's doing it. Maybe it was to seem as, to get the public to think like he's this total classy, empathetic guy. It could be that. And there really wasn't any empathy in it at all, though he was running over everybody else. So it's kind of weird. It's in question as to why, like at that moment and just for this particular one. But no, but you see him later. If he had any empathy, he would not keep running over him 10 times over, right? That's somebody, it's all very selfish. Like whatever the purpose was when he did that, it's some selfish goal in mind to manipulate people. And he's so good at doing it. He's been doing it since a kid. He got master crafted from, childhood. So he just does it like nothing. It's just not even a thought. And then this one's the same way. I mean, they're exactly the same, really. Just flipping it around, running over the victims. And please swing it right back around to my career. Kevin does the same thing, right? Right back to my career. If anybody wants to get me in some movies, boom. Boom, boom. That is a narcissist. Easy. I'm like, easy. And the women do it too. The women sit there and disregard other, it could be anyone, females or male victims. I'm actually really tripped out on the women that are targeting men coming out. I wasn't targeting men coming out. There's complicated cases because the men that we're pulling up the complex cases, okay? Because the complex cases are the topic, like to have, because they're difficult. And so that's my favorite thing. So like the Drake Bell, right? So like Drake Bell is an example that we pulled up, who is a problematic human who harmed other people. But then, a story comes out and that he was harmed as well. Yeah, well, both things are true, right? This is just like my topic, even on Black Lives Matter and the civil rights movement, as other women started talking about this. And yeah, I saw it. So when Black Lives Matter came about, sure, we're for social justice and, equality and those things, but it turned into a male supremacist movement. Again, just like the civil rights thing, where it turned into, we're here to save men, and all these women are marching, and we're here to save men, and disregard us and minimize us out of the story. Black Lives Matter did the same thing. So all these different topics did the same thing, and they're doing it with the the government gang thing. Yes. So that is pissing me off. And now I'm like, okay, well, we need to speak up as it's happening. And I need to trash on those women that are doing it because, well, it could be a number of reasons. They're consciously doing it because they're a pile of shit, or they are ignorant to their indoctrination and to have them question themselves as to why they're doing it. That's from indoctrination, to minimize us and leave us out of the story, when in fact it wasn't Black Lives Matter talking about it initially. It wasn't. And it's beyond a people of color topic. It way is. It may be included, as they were pointing out some groups in there, but it actually isn't. And I was actually fighting it when they started doing that hands up bullshit. But that didn't happen, by the way, because we had the videos of that. Because they admitted it. The people that went with the lawyer, I just have to go through my stance on that. So, no, we're not okaying the shooting. We're not, none of this, you guys. But the thing has to do with the fact that some people lied, and I believe the lawyer got them to lie. Because they initially, what happened was you know how they tell you don't talk to anyone, don't tell the media, don't write all these things because the lawyer needs to make up some crap. Okay, well, they went onto TV, and so I took these excerpts of the TV portions where they were doing these interviews, and I was trying to show the public. I go, did you see she just lied right there? That's amazing. Because she did. She went on there and she said, oh, I heard the shooting, and I was on the phone, so I didn't even see it outside. And then she went and looked outside, and he's already shot. So she didn't see nothing. Well, she changed her story completely and said, yeah, I seen him hands up. I go, wow, dude, I can't believe you be lying your ass. I wouldn't even let my lawyer do that to me. Just because it's false. And I'm not here to make up a story to get somebody in trouble. They should get in trouble based on just the action itself, right? I don't need to add any more to the story. But yeah, she bald-faced lied. And so did the other people. So I was showing it. And that's why the guy didn't get into the trouble that the public thinks they should have. Because if you believe the false narrative, then hell yeah, what the hell's that? But that's actually not what happened. So a lie because people manipulate it. Blame the lawyer on that one. I believe it's a lawyer's fault on that one because they didn't come up with that because they were talking on TV and said a whole different thing. The whole story was a hot mess because then it started getting into rental things. Yes, Dorian. Okay, yeah, he lied his ass off. Like, yeah. But I believe the lawyers were helping him do these lies. But anyway, it was proven that all those comments were falsified, unfortunately. But no, do I think the officer is great in this? No. So, I mean, it's not like there's any winners in this story. But it's interesting how a story turns into a big ass lie and then it spreads across the globe and then all of a sudden it goes because everybody knows it's all bullshit. They don't want to get caught in their bullshit because they ram with it. It happens, okay? It happens. It happens quite often, actually, where people believe in one thing and it's actually just completely fake. And then, but a lot of times it's usually created by a mega narcissist. I mean, maybe that lawyer can be considered a mega narcissist because there's a lot of people that don't like him. But yeah, but they create a story like that and people just run with it. So I'm trying to be as careful as possible, even on these cases, because sometimes females have mental health issues and they make up stuff. Like there's been cases where like the girl made up that she was getting stalked by somebody and then got another female raped or something. It was those stories are really bad. And they actually arrested the victim. And I'm trying to be as careful as possible these days on that kind of shit because you just don't know how evil somebody is. And I keep telling you guys, that other camp was evil as hell. They are evil as hell. It's not a made up thing. And our government was always for human trafficking. I mean, we had slaves, right? In our country. So it's kind of like, get your head together. America had slaves, which means that they view how they view others in the world. And in order to get to that point, you have to be a narcissist. You have to be a narcissist. That is not a random healthy person. You have to have a level of narcissism and self-centeredness to not give a shit about another human. Which means they were also into raping kids. They had legal laws to do it. So the same people were raping kids, also human trafficked other humans. But if you go back into the Bible, it's the same story. It's there. So you have to look at that and try to understand the history and the roots of America. Because it's based off of that. And so I don't argue with those Christian right-wingers that it's a Christian, pedo nation thing, because it totally is. But they like to play, oh, we're blind and we don't see that we're into kids, and then go and make it legal to go rape kids. It's just a manipulation. Most of it's a manipulation where they're just playing games with your head. Tim Ballard is playing a game of he don't know that or something, because at the end, what is he trying to fulfill? He's trying to fulfill his own glorification as a man. He wants to be famous. He wants to be known. He wants to be glorified. It's the white narcissist disease that is a little more different than everybody else, right? The white male glorification. In fact, I'm almost saying to the community that it should have its own term, because while you might see like a P. Diddy trying to get there and everything like that, he's actually trying to mimic, a lot of that, but he was also pulling out a king in Africa. So I can't really speak on that yet because I haven't even looked that up or anything. I don't know who the hell he's talking about. But he has a desire to be like a cult leader. It's the same thing. He has the same narcissist problem. But white men in particular have something even worse than even that. Because of God turning white, our school system chronically glorifying, doing this over glorification of white men, but also having women worship the ground they walk on. Like there's all these additions where men of color don't quite have that. They may get their women to do that, but not so much in our society because they were raised to be slaves to these dudes. So they don't have that additional pump. I call it a pump. It's just like you're the greatest thing on earth, sir. You're my glorious Lord Savior. Like this additional thing that's pumping their brain up. And then it eventually explodes like Tim Ballard all over my screen right here. But never take accountability. He doesn't go, I am sorry I hurt these women and whatever. I was wrong. You know what? If he did that, the church probably would have taken it back. Who knows? But he doesn't take accountability. So he's not a reformed human. He's not going to be reformed, by the way. He can manipulate, but he's not really a good manipulator, as you see. He's trying, but I don't know who's following him. Is anybody buying his bullshit? There probably is. What did you do for the CIA? Oh, that's right. Government loved him. Ah, that's right. So government loved the perpetrator. And I was saying that government has all these perpetrators and they were preying up on all of us women. And then when all these cases came forward, like you tell them, but they were all involved in it and they never did anything, right? Did you guys not see it? You guys got totally duped. The public got duped into thinking that government's just dumb and stupid and they had no idea about none of this. And they're so outraged and against it. And I'm just sitting here like, There's no history to show that government was ever anti-raping children. It actually shows they were pro-raping children for Jesus Christ, and that they were pro-human trafficking. And the marriage thing is actually based on a human trafficking thing from about 1,000,000 years ago, and ownership and property. So why are we bringing that into today? I mean, if you're really against human trafficking, I mean, you're truly against it, then you're going to start tackling all the things that actually are part of human trafficking. And no, nobody is really, because they're hypocrites. But I think it's more about an educational thing to get their mind around, like, what the F is human trafficking? Because it's not sex trafficking alone. Sex trafficking can be in it, but, and it also, and even if you do get sex trafficked, it does not need to include an exchange of money. But in that, it's just a parent giving you to an adult and dumping you off is human trafficking. These conducts have been so normalized in society, and everybody's a hypocrite. I try not to be a hypocrite. The problem is that we're so indoctrinated. That's how come I know about indoctrination. We're so indoctrinated that things that we're so used to doing and thinking is normal is not. And so you're chronically like peeling back the layers of the onion, and I'll stumble onto something going, yeah, that's probably part of that. That's probably my indoctrination. That is probably that. And I need to get rid of that. Yeah, it's just a chronic thing. I mean, everything that we know, it's all we knew, right? It's all we knew in society, because America was founded on Christian shit. And even though they say, oh, freedom for this and that and this and that, it actually wasn't so, because the viewpoint is always has the Christian bias. So even the laws are based on a Christian society being ruled by Christians, mostly if it's like 90 some odd percent, then your society standards, your laws, your thoughts about the universe is based out of Christianity. So even regardless if you leave it and you become an atheist, you're still indoctrinated into Christianity. So you're just a Christian atheist. That's what we call you, because the thing that makes you a Christian is what? The whole ideology, right? The rules, laws, Christian values. So that's your indoctrination. That's what you're indoctrinated into, is that particular one. So you could be in another country and it's Catholic, it's Hindu, it's Muslim, right? It's those things. So those are what they're indoctrinated into, regardless of the fact if they go to church or not. Our arguments have never been, we're like anti if somebody believes in some higher power, some other thing. The problem is in the scriptures, like what it's doing and their actions on humans and abusing children, and doing these things right here. So, and they ignored mental health issues, and they let men that have grandiose narcissist problems run around saying they're a prophet and Jesus Christ a Messiah, and then people follow the narcissist. And so if you follow the narcissist, if you go to the Allison Mack story, if you go over there, then the others turn into narcissists and they harm other people. Now, she has another problem, which was a little annoying, to the side of empathetic empath, but that tends to lean on she's sympathetic to perpetrators. And now she's a perpetrator, but I mean, this is kind of toxic. She's on the toxic level, which is probably why Keith really loved her, because she's easy to manipulate. But it was annoying. The minute she was, I know if I'm not her victim. I know if I was one of her victims. Yeah, I had to turn her off for a moment, because she did a later thing talking with the dude, and it was so annoying and it was so wrong. They started going in the conversation of boys mature slower. And it's just like, I'm not even going to hear this. What we know at this moment is a lot of these men are on the autism spectrum. How many? I have no idea. And that may be throwing people off as well, but no. They're just slow and jump. That's a manipulation. I don't know what the hell with that, but... And if they are slow and dumb, how do they become leaders? And women were the dumb ones. If women were the smart ones and ahead, I would like them to explain to me why they bow down and listen to some dude claiming he's a messiah. That's not even logical. I can't blame children because children don't know shit. We didn't know shit as kids. You get smarter as you grow up. You go to school, you mature, and then you look at it and go, oh, another Santa Claus. I mean, really. I mean, that's really where we landed. But they were into believing into all kinds of fake things, and I didn't appreciate that. I mean, that's just me as a kid. I didn't appreciate being lied to. I'm here for fun, but man, when you start learning that everybody manipulates you, that's not really a good message from adults. They may think it's cute, but it actually isn't. They could have done a thing letting us know that Santa was our dad. Like, what the hell? It doesn't change the story. They could have, I don't know why the creepy tooth fairy thing. They're stealing my bones, dude, and then leaving me money. Yeah, I don't know. There's just some things that they did that is so bizarre that where it came from, nothing in the past history is good.
This is going far and wide. It's going to every outlet, every podcast around the world. Every government official already has it. And we're doing this to defend the kingdom, to defend children who are being hurt by a lie.
If you care about this man, you guys, and this includes other men, you need to tell him he needs to go to a doctor. To be dead serious. We continually see this, and this is absolutely just, you're watching mental health. You're watching mental health. He's not a victim. He'll paint himself as a victim and run us victims over. But this is mental health. It's the craziest thing ever. It's called narcissism.
Catherine versus the deep church, deep state, deep church, you get it. Authorities inside the church have refused to retract the obvious defamation, which is now being used by groups like ISIS and traffickers and pedophiles in general to obstruct Ballard's work. Children remain in the crosshairs of these lies and these conspiracies.
At one point during the video, Tim Ballard said that he would be issuing subpoenas to expose people who are part of the conspiracy. I asked if that means...
Yeah. So what he's going to do is start targeting his victim. Wait, who did this? Well, they all have. A lot of them have done this, but one particular, that martial art fighter dude, I think he was one that did that. Okay, so he started like painting himself as a victim and trying to go, I don't know, I think, didn't he dox the victim? I don't know, he did something really crazy. Anyway, these are just actions from a person with that personality disorder. We could say this without a doubt. Like, it isn't, I don't need them to explain this, or you don't need to go to school for this or anything. This, without a doubt, is an action by a person with a personality disorder. And it should be really easy to catch on these particulars, mostly when he's just talking. Well, he just disregards. I'm trying to show like where he. Okay, so he completely disregards the victim. Like, completely. They're just all liars. In almost all these cases out here, they haven't lied. There's only been a handful of them where, you know, something kind of funny. But when you pull those cases up with the funny person, they're all mentally ill. Like, there's something about the victim that they have some other disorder, like some major one, and you can kind of tell even from that. So the more you're educated on mental health, you could sometimes be thrown off by it, but you can't base it just on mental health issues. A narcissist, yes, but on basic mental health issues, it's hard because a person who's a narcissist can also be raped. They can be also raped by another narcissist. The person who rapes, and this is how you're going to know too that the victims are telling the truth many times, it'll help you. Because the only person that's going to commit that crime is a person that is on the spectrum of having NPD. Or very close, they haven't been, they may not have been diagnosed. They may not, I would say that they would all almost have to be on that spectrum. They just haven't diagnosed them all. But in order to do a crime like that, they definitely have to be on the spectrum of major self-centeredness, and or they have other mental health disabilities that would cause them to be so self-centered. Some other things may be IQ. If they have very low, if they're mental disabilities, okay. But still, the action is from somebody that doesn't care about other people and they want to dominate. So no, for sure, like he has. So I look for the traits. So he has the traits of being a rapist. Period. It's like, period. So before these allegations even come out, if you ask me about it, I'm saying, would you be worried that this guy would be a rapist? I go, hell yeah. So it would come out of because they land on that spectrum. One of the things is they haven't really seemed to put these things together. I notice in that community, you have to be a sociopath to be going on like this. So he's out here going, glory be to me, and I'm going to manipulate these women and touch him, whatever he did. The crazier thing to me in this story, besides his mental health issues, is the women continuing to be in this cult doctrine bullshit, which is the thing that enables these men and helps create them into NPD. So it's funny because they know it on research, like they'll go religion something. Yeah, they try to do this bullshit. And I'm like, no, just say it outright. The religion helps turn them into narcissists, like the treatment of them, right? And the mothers that are indoctrinated into it, overly cuddling them. He's the son of God. We have to get him to be the hero of the family. And it's also not healthy for them. That's the other thing. It's actually child abuse. Like at the same time, even though they're a pile of shit narcissists later, but it's child abuse. It's like a form of child abuse. Even though it looks like it's loving, it's typically not. It's like loving and then abuse, loving and then abuse. I know that's one of the causations. That's probably a big one because we see it with Diddy's family dynamic, the mom and him. We also see it with Kevin Spacey, the brother. If you guys didn't read what the brother had said about that, it was pretty, it's like the same thing. Something about like they were so close that I think he said it was almost incestuous or something weird. I think he even said it. And when I reflected that back onto our family, I was like, yeah, my grandmother, her weirdness with my dad, almost you get in the line of incestuous, but then she was way abusive though, verbally. So I don't know if his mother was way abusive verbally, but for her to be okay with her husband sexually, I don't know what the hell was known over there, but it was a hot mess over there. But yeah. Those things are being seen. And then my mother did it with my brother with this, like, I don't know, like when he was screaming and crying and just over cuddling him. Though I think that he is on the spectrum for sure. And he was acting, oh man, he was acting out so bad. It was pissing me off so bad. As a kid, like I'm younger than my brother. Like I'm a year younger than my brother, and then we'd go out and he would just have these screaming fits. And I'm like, he's ruining. Why we have to leave? Like as that little kid, I was like, why we have to leave? Like, why do we have to leave? Because my brother won't shut the F up and we're in a public place. You walking with one shoe on, dude. That is weird. Leave me alone. Yeah, oh my God. I'm like, I just have a question. Like, who does that? I don't know. I know I'm the literal one, so I believe that we're high functioning. I really wanted to get that diagnosis because I'm almost positive that's exactly where we're landed. But my brother's like way worse. Like he's more obvious. Like if you see him, like he's very different. But he's really nice to most people, but sometimes he has these major ragers. But he was really coddled like by my mother and my grandmother. And so he never sees he does any wrong because they put that in his head. And they try to make it seem like I did things. Like it reinforced this thought that I made him flip out and do these things. And I didn't. It's like, I'm asking a fucking question. It's like, why are you wearing one shoe? That's it. That would cause him to flip out. You're antagonizing your brother. I'm like, oh, really? Can somebody explain this to me? We don't know what that is. I need to ask him why. What is that? What is that? He was like walking on his tiptoes too. And I was like, I just asked him, like, why do you do that? So because he's autistic and he has a blowout, that therefore it's my fault. I'm like, I just asked him a freaking question. He's chronically chasing me and throwing me downstairs. And at the time he started doing that, I wasn't even really able to talk yet. Like I think I barely spoke words then. So I wasn't asking him anything. I don't know what the hell happened. He just decided he wants to throw me down the stairs. I don't know. Once in a while, the dude flips out. Dad doesn't want you here. Yeah, I'm like, see, when he started acting out like that, it had to do with my dad feeding lies into my brother's head and like his hateful vitriol against me to my brother. Which pisses me off because it's like, my brother's smart. Like, you shouldn't buy into it. But he loves my dad so much because my dad like totally cuddled him. And so it's like, okay, well, just because dad has a damn dick problem doesn't mean that you should take it out on me. It's not your house. The house wasn't my brother's house. It's like my dad's house. So it's our house. And it was just like, they don't want us there. It's like, well, dad should be in jail, technically. Dad should be in jail for jumping a kid because he don't want a kid. Well, people go to jail for that. Why isn't my dad going to jail? Oh, he works with government. He works with government, like a Tim Ballard, where they just get away with it. And so that's what we're trying to highlight. That's not a Black Lives Matter thing. Hello. It has something to do with the mentality that's going on here and mostly the inner dynamics of the church. And it doesn't matter which church it is because it's not just Mormons. Christians love targeting Mormons. They somehow think they're different. They're actually not. I mean, they have some different additions in their stuff, but they're not fundamentally different in their male supremacy pyramid scheme of bullshit. And in the history here of human trafficking and raping kids and women, yeah, they have a huge, rich history of that, including on the Native Indians and people of color. And who else was in their stuff? So they had human trafficked the Indians, and then also the women, obviously, that followed the cult, and then they turned it into a big rape bust. I mean, pretty much. But they legalized it in California, and I had to read the backstory on how come it got legalized in California. And there was a thing about Joseph Smith moving his cult to here or something. Yeah, I was like, oh, thanks, California. But yeah, it went from there. Basically, religious rights were based on men, so male supremacy. So they were basing the protections on males can start their own cult and rape women and be protected under religion. So that any man can come out here and say, I'm a Messiah. And so the protections were based on those things. And women had no agency. So we were all human trafficked in this whole thing because we get groomed by the narcissist, the grandiose narcissist, and then government allows it. Like government allows a mentally ill person that has a mental illness, a mental health issue, a disorder, and allows them to groom us all. Because it was not just women either, it's men. They're getting little boys into it too. So they groomed us all into this thing, and they allowed somebody who has a serious mental health issue to harm us and be protected by these laws. So we have a problem with this. And we ran across this problem again when the Mormons had that rapist cult thing going on, and they're like, well, it's a religion, so we can't take them out. The women don't want to leave, so they want to be there. It's consent. It's not consent. There was no consent had. And mostly when it's somebody that's mentally ill that's running a thing around their you-know-what, there's no consent that can be had because they're just making stuff up. And government's just like, well, they have the right to make shit up. So they have the right to make stuff up and groom little girls and, you know, have sex with them. So that was the argument in this one thing from a long time ago. And they just left the women there. I was like, that is insane. And yeah, so there was a lot of people, ex-Mormons, a lot of other people trying to get these people out. And I've always talked about how hard it is. And, you know, every time I speak out on this topic generally, because, you know, they're all in a cult, everybody, not just Mormons, you get the shunned out thing. You'll see it happening with Scientology, but it's not different. Christians do it all the freaking time. If you do not believe in the Bible or whatever the thing is, then you're automatically dubbed Satan. So they then start shunning us out of society. And so I don't fit into their bullshit. But I also don't fit in with these men that are claiming that they hate the church either. And the reason for that is because they're just indoctrinated pieces of shit, just like the Christian men are. So when they leave, it's not like they got rid of that. So regardless of where we go in this universe, we're not even connected to those people. So it's a very alienating thing, but it's not from me. It's actually from them. It is the mass majority of society. So I started tackling the sociopath definition, the ASPD one, going, they do fit in with the social norm. They are the social norm. So you have that in reverse. The sane person is hard to be in a society where the external environment is mostly ill. Like if they're mostly ill and they're doing these horrible things to humans, chopping them up, destroying the planet, whatever, you know, all the horrible things that they do, that it doesn't make sense to me. So as I'm reading through it, I was like, yeah, that doesn't click right, because they are reenacting the social norm. But it also could be because the people that are in the research are also part of the problem, and they don't see themselves in the same category as these people when in fact they are. Then on the Kanye thing, which was so interesting to me when I was saying I'm not shocked. Well, I'm the one that pointed out, believe it or not, I don't know who else did, but maybe somebody did listen to that, because I don't know if anybody else was listening to that. But when they said bipolar, I go, oh, they misdiagnosed that dude. They keep flinging bipolar out, and the dude's actually like a socio. I'm like, yeah, he's a socio. Socio, basically, in my opinion, is just the combination of antisocial behavior, narcissism, like all those like terrible traits combined. But also we're seeing, in addition, autism being an underlying thing in it. So as we're just kind of trying to understand its, you know, little marriage here with some people. But yes, so I actually pulled it out. I said a long time ago, I said, he's that bipolar, they misdiagnosed that dude. So allegedly he goes in. I didn't know he went in and then got re-evaluated. I'm still concerned here, you guys, because I hope they're not attributing a sociopath, the general outline of a sociopath, to autism. I don't know, but it's concerning. So they've been misdiagnosing people. So I'm looking at it, trying to go tread lightly here, guys, because while we see it, that definitely isn't everybody. They just did another research too, talking about how autistic people are like helping a lot of strangers more than people that don't seem to be on the spectrum. And I was laughing at it because I go, yeah, I go, we do. I do anyway. I used to, we'll put it this way, I used to love helping everybody out. I loved helping children I never even met, families I never even met. I would send money. I would do this. I would do that. I rescue you in the middle of the night, which is fine. But wait till I get to know you. Then that may change. I was like, I think there is a mental thing to this, because they're not people that we know personally. Now, if I end up meeting these people in person, I may not like them, and then I'm not going to help them ever again. But there is some sort of thing like that, like the people in our universe that we know. But I help people that we knew in my own universe. But they were saying that they like to help strangers more. So the thing is about, we like to help people that we don't know, which every time I talk about these topics, we're trying to help people that we don't know, technically, at the end of the day. But we're not going to like Tim Ballard. But yet we're still doing something, talking about it, telling him to go get help, right? Or we could just let him run off a cliff. I think it's more psychotic, where most of society would just sit back and let somebody run off a cliff. I don't think they understand that. And then you'll get demonized for wanting to help them. Even though we're not talking about the savior, Tim Ballard, helping. We're saying, we're identifying, you have a problem, you need to go do that. Like, where you're harming people. Like, it's in the point of, like, when you're harming people, or we see that you're a danger to yourself. That's based on someone caring. That isn't based on hate. That isn't based on trying to harm somebody. That's actually based on, we actually care about you, because we're spending our time out looking at it. But also to help society as a whole, because you're looking at, we need it more healthy. And in order to tackle these issues that you guys are talking about, well, these are the issues. Like, they don't want to look at what the issues are. And then when they see it, they're like, oh, no. Oh, and then complain about it. I was like, we could sit here all day and complain about it. But at a point, you're like, okay, well, what's the problem? Well, this is the problem. But as we've gone through these guys for years and years and years, we started to notice something. And I noticed that they're starting to really look at this. So it's a good thing. A good thing came out of us, I think, generally talking about it. The researchers are actually researching us online in social media. And as I'm pulling out the person, I'm going through it right now, right? Well, the researchers do the same thing. They're just looking at stuff. I believe they even study off of Kevin Spacey too. Like, these people, because you're seeing them in the open, where they don't get it in their research alone. And we're noticing, like, they used to think this one thing on, psychopaths. And as I kept going through it, I'm having these arguments about it. Like, one person has this definition, this, that, the other. And I go, I could swear they're on the spectrum. Like, it's like going on this thing. And they have been looking at this. So the more we go through it and the more we start to understand these people, then you start to see, like, maybe the terms were not proper. Maybe the way they viewed that initially is not proper. And it's just an accumulation of narcissism, this thing, that thing, that thing. And then the autism thing may be flinging them into psychopathy, making them seem what they used to term as that. So to me, I'm not even mad at it. And I believe it's helping us understand these little problems a little bit more. And I'm pulling out all the right people. Like the ones that they would have classified as that or whatever, but just different variations of it. I was right about Kanye, though, and I was totally dying when I read that. I was like, I remember saying that, too. Like, a bipolar my ass. I was like, he's got something else. They misdiagnosed him. I said it, like, when that one channel was going, they were making fun of him with that. And I went to Steve Jobs, or whatever the hell that thing was, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Like 8, 9, 10 years ago, like a decade ago. It might have been that long ago. I remember posting it though. I was like, no, they misdiagnosed him. He could have bipolar with it, but the thing is that I was like, nah, a socio. I was like socio. I'm reading the narcissism off him. I know, but when you see him talking in a room, he's like totally weird, right? He's like sitting there with this like mask thing on. He's like, yeah, you know, blah blah blah, and everybody just sits in the room, sitting around him like he's a Jesus Christ, but he's saying weird crap, and they're like, yeah, dude, you're the brilliant dude in the room, and I'm just like, what the hell is this? Are you guys just trying to act like he's smart and you're just nodding with it or what? I don't know, man. The cousin, the sexual abuse thing is really effed up. That he starts perpetrating at a very young age and then normalizes it, but then, like, it's weird. Like, the public doesn't want to have that conversation. You have to have that conversation, even though that's the way he expressed it through like a song like that. But he represents a lot of people actually in that area right there, and we need to zoom in on it. I mean, on a serious level, it was like, what? I'm not surprised, but what the hell? So that's how he's dealing with it. He flings it out that way and whatnot. But I know I've been just trying to break it down so you guys understand why I know what I know and why and how I pick them out. It's hard to explain to you guys, but you should be able to tell on this and be able to figure it out. It's not the victim going, turn me into a hero. I want to be seen as a hero, so that's why I'm flinging my story out here. If you see that, which we have actually on a couple of women, then you should be concerned. But at the same time, sometimes those narcissists are also a victim of something. And so it makes it like complicated sometimes because there isn't like this black and white way to explain this. It isn't, oh, all narcissists lie, and if they say they're a victim, then don't listen to them at all. That's actually not true. It just isn't fundamentally true. But we do have problems when we're coming out as victims and then running over the topic for the sake of the narcissist glorification on top of it. And then they ran over men. Like, those same ones are the ones running over the guys. So pay attention to that. So that is one thing. So you could miss it. So they come up in here, they disregard all the dudes, like every single one of the dudes. Then they turn it into a me thing, and then we're all helpless victims. And then when men come out, they disregard them completely. Like, you'll see it because it's like showing the self-centeredness of it, where they don't have empathy or care for other people. You have to kind of look for that. The lack of empathy and care for others. Whereas when my thing happened, so then this is an ignorant level. So I'll show you, there's a difference actually, and it was weird, but men chronically told us they were not victims. And I'm out here questioning it, going, well, they said they're not as much of a victim as we are, so that's all I know. Like, I can only go by what my understanding is. It's not self-centered. I'm actually listening, and that's what they were saying. And I started to realize, oh no, there's actually some male victims out here, so let me at least look at that. I'm not biased. Like, it's not like, oh, only this. But I'm trying to learn and understand what the extent of this issue is. And then eventually I start bringing them forward. I started bringing the stories forward, and I started looking at something else in it. So it's more of me, like, I care, I just didn't understand it. So that's a level of ignorance. So if I denied anything or didn't understand something, that's ignorance. This over here shows the lack of connection to other humans, and nor do they care. I know it can get complicated though, because you could view, like, on our position, I'm not the only one that was in that position, but you could view it like, look how self-centered they are because they are not paying attention to us. Well, it wasn't that I was paying attention. I was paying attention to Milo. I was paying attention to a number of people. We were paying attention to Kevin Spacey too. That thing was hella whack. A lot of people. So I had gone through it trying to, it's just ignorance, you guys. But I'm learning it. I'm caring. And then finally we come back around and I go, I got to go back through the Michael Jackson case. That was the first one I think I went back through. And then the Travolta case, the ones that it was so unquestioned to me because I just was not educated enough to really even dive into that whole dynamic of bullshit. Whereas today, we could tell a lot of the mental health issues with Michael and then start to see like why they were acting the way they were and going into it much more in depth than just running around going, that person's a pedo and throw them out of society. It's like, no, now see, today it's about, okay, so if they are a pedo, then we know that causation is coming from this one, you know, a whole bunch of things right here. So now we're going deeper into that because they asked the question, why are all these pedos out here? I'm like, well, pull your Bible out, kids. Let's take a look. What is the thing that is literally connected to a lot of these guys? Narcissism. Narcissism is really important in this because the self-centeredness of everybody that does these things is really important. The childhood area was major in it. And then we started seeing like all these kids that were coming out, touching other kids and everything in the childhood portion. And for some reason, society decided to go, that's just normal and let it be. And then they grew up to be total gropers and rapists and not see any problem with it because the parents said it's totally normal, you know, things like that. And then blaming other kids for other people touching them. So it's quite an area. And no, it's not a disregard or a non-care. We care because at the earliest point, it appears that the perpetrator males were victim of a thing, you know, of some type of environmental thing, be it the parents abused the crap out of them, neglected them, neglected to take them to get mental health treatment, not treating them properly. And in some of those things, there is a level of ignorance, but in some of those things, it's not. They're just pieces of shit. But there's quite a combination of things right there. And then you fling up in here some genetic stuff, then it's just, again, it's still going to lie on the environment because if the kid has a problem of regulation or some other thing going on, then the treatment of the kid at that time is very much in question. Because nobody comes out, you know, I hate women and doing all this crap unless there's some bullshit going on. So you have to kind of go in there. So yeah, no, it's just from years going through these stories and talking out loud where people are like, they like hearing me think in my mind out loud, you know, and it's just a matter of doing that and thinking about like, what the hell is with Tim Ballard and his bull? You know, like we're going through it out loud, like, and as you're breaking it down, you're like, let them speak, because it's like when you sit back and watch him, it's a show. It's just part of his disorder, and he's flinging these weird things out, and then just learn by it. It's just okay. This is what a narcissist does. This is how he's acting out. And then he lacks, at any point in here, does he actually sound like he cares about kids? Like, sit with this. The whole time through this whole write-up, it's like, I need them to see my movie. And I wanted to become, like, president. And you know, whatever. He wants to be the U.S. Senator representing Utah. I want to be all these things. And they totally kicked me out of a church. It's not really about kids. Like, the kid portion is the thing to make him seem heroic. He wants the glorification. That's what he wants, like the cult worship. But he doesn't actually care about kids because he's making up stuff and like like this whole other thing, like he's perverting the topic. So he thinks that it's going to pull on the heartstrings of some special group of people. But he doesn't actually care about kids, you guys. He doesn't care about sexual abuse. He doesn't care about those things because he does those things. So it's the focus, the high focus in this whole thing is me, myself, and I and my career. So anytime you hear a man talking like that as a narcissist, me, myself, and I and my career. And then disregard, minimize sexual misconduct, me, myself, and I and my, that's them. Harm to self and others, right? Okay.